Welcome to the Adabas and Natural First Product Offering in the Cloud Natural Engineer Conference Call. My name is Adrienne, and I'll be your operator for today's call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we'll conduct a question-and-answer session. Please note this conference is being recorded. I'll now turn the call over to Patrick Gould. Patrick Gould, you may begin.
Hi, good day, everybody. So this is Patrick, and with me today I have Brian James, R&D manager, and he wears a lot of other hats, but for natural engineer. And he is the brains on the call. I'm going to go through a few introduction slides, and then Brian will be doing a demo as to how the cloud version of Natural Engineer will operate. So a little background, I was tasked about a year ago to look at any cloud offerings that we may offer in the Adabas Natural environment, and this was one that made sense, and you should see there's a couple of slides why it makes sense. And so we've been putting it together, getting it priced, getting it working, and it is now ready for offering to our customers. So it's not a very long agenda. First one's done already. I will then cover, for those who just need a little kickstart reminder on Natural Engineer, I'll cover that quickly. And then we talk about why we thought Natural Engineer in the cloud was a good idea, and then what is Natural Engineer in the cloud. And then I'll be handing over to Brian, and he will be showing you some demos of how you as a end business person could be using Natural Engineer in the cloud, and then how it makes sense. And then lastly, we'll cover the different offerings we have, which of course might expand or change based on how things pan out in the first year of the offering. So at a high level, what is Natural Engineer? Natural Engineer has been around for a very, very long time. It is a rock-solid tool. And basically what it does, it's a solution that provides automated code capture of Adabas, Natural, COBOL, DB2, and JCL code, and we extract that from its source, and then we load it into the Natural Engineer repository, which then basically becomes an analytic tool database that we can now start doing analytics and documentation on. So at a high level, it allows us to document, analyze, understand, and even go as far as modernizing existing legacy applications. One of the new features of Natural Engineer in the cloud is the fact that we can extract BPN 2.0 from a natural program, and this can be fed into ARIS, which wouldn't be part of the NEE cloud, but ARIS itself has a cloud version where if you own ARIS Architect already, then you'd be able to use that XML file and import it into the ARIS Architect solution. So it is now available in the cloud, and we will be demonstrating this, as I said, in this webinar. So why Natural Engineer in the cloud? What we do find out as old as some of our environments are, there tend to be some customers who are not on the latest versions of the software. So yeah, we provide a solution where you do not have to worry about that because there's no on-premise software installed. It's not going to be installed into your existing Natural Adabas environment. It will be pre-installed, and we don't care about the versions that you're actually running on site because you will be doing a OBJH, and then we'll be loading that or other options for the different programs, COBOL, etc., and then load all of that stuff into the Engineer repository on the cloud. One of the other reasons is you have a lot of undocumented legacy code, and you need to do legacy code discovery, revitalization, or modernization. So we're finding a couple of customers these days taking their existing applications and actually revitalizing them. And they're using Natural Engineer as a tool to assist them in this task. Lots of customers have told us that all future development and production software could either be cloud or hybrid cloud-based. So if the organization is moving in a cloud direction, this is a perfect tool where you don't have to buy it, you just rent it for the length of time that you need it. You'll have the ability to perform all the NEE cloud functions without the worry of software installs and maintenance. When the software needs to be upgraded, that will be done. Again, if you need to understand existing processes and have ability to feed extracted business processes into the business process architecture software. So we've mentioned that already, and that will just improve as the recommendations and requirements from the customers who are using that mechanism so far are built into the software. And then also we all know that we have a lot of legacy application gatekeepers out there and subject matter experts that are retiring faster than they are actually giving us the information that is required to keep those applications up and running in case something goes awry. So this could be a very, very good tool to divide and conquer your existing applications and build up a knowledge base inside Natural Engineer of what you have and what you can do with what you have, and make maintenance easier and the hiring on of new people a lot more simple. So that was the presentation portion. Oh, I had one more, excuse me. I thought I was ready on number 7. Okay. The last one before Brian starts is, what is Natural Engineer Cloud? So it is a natural cloud, it's a Windows-based Natural Engineer Cloud software as a service offering. It will be ready to use, fully functional NEE cloud instance. The access to the cloud will be via remote desktop and web interface, because Natural Engineer has those two interfaces into the tool, which normally are divided between the business people and the development people or the application people. Reports will be available in PDF, spreadsheet, CVS format, and they can be downloaded and then used on your machines. It's definitely going to be a Windows Server cloud instance. It's going to be composed of prescription-based pricing, and it will be based on repository size and or users. Right now we just have the users one out there, and the one requirement is it will be a minimum 1-year prescription to use the cloud. So this is where the demo portion should start. So this is where I go and pretend I know how to use WebEx, and I go to the participants, and I go to Brian James, and I say, make Brian the presenter. And boom.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Brian James, part of the R&D team. Right, first off, you should be able to see my screen at the moment. You should see an Amazon instance. You see there's a Windows one running there at the moment. So this is my Windows server, which is where I'm going to run my Natural Engineer in the cloud. And as you can see here, it's completely locked down to my IP address. So the IP address in my organization is the only users that can get anywhere near this machine. So there's several ways of accessing this machine. We have administrator rights, or software G engineers access to set up all the software and the users. And then we've got remote app access, which is where the developers come in. And then we've also got the web access, which can be 2 types. You've got Silverlight or HTML5 for those that have Chrome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach myself, hopefully, to this instance. All right, eCloud 1, connect as administrator. And then remember the password. Ding, ding, ding. See if that lets me in. It'll take a few seconds. I was thinking about it. Okay. Right, so I'm now logged in as administrator on this knee cloud instance. And what you'll see is that we've installed plenty of software on this machine. We've got Adabas, we've got Natural, and we've got Natural Engineer. Those are the main components that we need installed. So this is the Adabas manager telling me which databases I've got flying around in here. So we've created a database, we've created all the repository files required. And then I also have access to configure the users who have access to this machine, because we need to define your users, the customer's users to it. So I've defined myself, member of domain, so this is how we add a user. And then within here we have remote desktop services defined, and we have something called a collection. So this is the list of remote applications that a developer will come into. So using the administration access, I can go in, I can add Adabas, add Natural Engineer, add Natural, configure it all, make sure I load up other products like the FOP engine for the PDF generation. I've got OpenOffice Calc for spreadsheets, and it's all configured, ready for the users. So this is the administration access. Let me just disconnect that one out of the way. So we've got everything configured, and now we need to be able to access it as a user. One in here somewhere, that one there. And it goes into the RD web, if those familiar with terminal services or remote desktop access. And you get a logon page. So this user's been defined. If we sign in, it should give me a list of applications I'm allowed to use. And funnily enough, we've got one called Natural Engineer. So now that will do an RDP to it. It might ask for a password. So let me do James. It will take a few seconds, but if everything works, it should fire up straight into Natural Engineer. There you go, straight luck, it worked. Right. Okay, so we've got our list of applications. This is normal Natural Engineer for those familiar with Engineer. And we can start messing around. You've got full functionality in here. And we can do Object Viewer. We can see where fields being used. We can do a map preview. The basic functionality that you normally get with Natural Engineer. The other thing that you get here is we can do reports. And the report options, let's put this one here. We can go to the screen, which just shows it on the screen. You get spreadsheets, PDF, and HTML. So if I go to a spreadsheet, I set it up so we use Calc. It's going to ask me the delimiters. Okay, so it's fully operational. If I wanted to save this on my machine, I should be able to, because it should have save as, there it is. And it should map my drives. There's one of my drives. So that's my local drive, that's not the drive on the server. So I can save the output to my local machine. Cancel that for a minute. Close, close. So all the functionality is available. I should be able to go to PDF. Okay, so there's a PDF report. Again, if I wanted to, I can even print it to my local devices. Where's print? There's print. It'll take a few seconds to find my printer. But it's defined so that it maps your local resources, your printers and your drives, so that you can save and print directly to your machines. It'll take a few seconds to find my printer. Come on. I got there eventually. That's my printer back in the office. So I cancel that one. So all the functionality is there as a developer. All they have to do is log in, click the Natural Engineer tab, up pops Natural Engineer, and they've got the full functionality within Engineer itself. Let's get rid of some of these bits. And we can sign out. Now there's also a web interface to Natural Engineer, for those of you familiar with it. Get rid of that bit, please, thank you. Right. This is again pointing to the same cloud machine. Okay, this is using Firefox. If I do a list of applications, and then right-hand click on the application to show source code summary. Okay, so this is a web interface. This doesn't use remote desktop. Yeah, this is a separate type of interface to the Natural Engineer Cloud instance. Now, some of you out there use Chrome. Silverlight is not supported in Chrome. So what we've developed recently with the latest version is a HTML5 version of the browser interface. Cancel that, what's that doing? And then, so this is a new version for Chrome. And one of the nice things with Chrome is that you can do a print to PDF. It actually prints quite nicely. So that's the web interface to Natural Engineer. So that was very quickly showing you the different ways that you connect. If I go back in as the administrator, bear with me 2 seconds. Administrator. There we go. Okay. It's a really wonderful password that Amazon gives you. Just bear with it a couple of seconds while it connects. Because you guys will need to upload your source code into this instance. Yeah. So there's 2 ways of doing that. The first way is if you connect via this method, then your local drives should be available. Let's find them. Here we go. This is my local drive, so I can upload like a SysLH file directly onto the server machine or my COBOL files. If you look behind the scenes in the Natural Engineer directory, we see the structure for the COBOL objects, and I've also got a location for the SysLH. If you guys don't want to do this, then the SAG engineers can do this, and we can give you a secure FTP, SFTP, so you can load up the data, and then we will load it into the Natural Engineer source code fuser, or COBOL according to what source code you put up there. Okay, that was a very quick run through, so let me get rid of this for a minute and find the presentation again and see which bits I missed. Start from here. Right, there we go. All right, so Natural Engineer in the cloud. It is a Windows server sitting there in the cloud. Several methods for connecting to it. One is full access, full desktop access. This will be for software AG engineers or for customer administrators who want to load up the data. So this is a full access. You can see here the screenshot that's showing the Adabas manager, the user maintenance. So they've got a full list of applications that they've got access to. And they've got ability to access their remote drives to upload data for SysLH, etc. Or we can carry it out and give you FTP to upload your data. This is the structure that you would typically see on the server, so how we would lay out COBOL and JCL. And you would use SysLH. This is us just showing you a screen here of how to use the SysLH utility in Natural to load the data into the Natural fuser file. We also have developers using it, so they need to be able to sign in. They literally go to the cloud instance /rdweb. The users have been defined by the administrator within the relevant domain, and the access is locked down to your IP range, your customer IP range. Once they get in, they'll see a list of applications that they can do. These are called desktop remote apps, and look, we've got Natural Engineer here. It may ask for a password to confirm it, and then you'll get straight into the Natural Engineer application. It'll start straight up, and you'll have full access within it. So here's just some normal, what we've got here, object viewers, then we've got the source code viewer, and the map preview. Various reports that can be produced. Now, what you can do is, as mentioned earlier, we've got PDF, we've got HTML, and we've got spreadsheets. Now, that's using what is open source free-ish software. Now, some customers may want to use things like Microsoft Visio because we've got a link into Visio. We can't load these into the Natural Engineer Cloud instance, but just like you've got bring your own devices, there's now something called bring your own licenses. It is theoretically possible for customers to have a license that covers terminal services and the end devices for us to be able to load in things like Microsoft Word and Microsoft Visio and open up those normal capabilities within Natural Engineer, that you can use those via your cloud instance as well. But you've got to bring us the licenses. And all reports can be saved on your local devices, your local drives. And then we've got two interfaces. We've got the normal Silverlight interface, which is the typical interface. It doesn't require desktop services. And then we've got the new HTML5 interface, especially for those with Chrome. So, a couple of questions that I was thinking of when I was putting this together was, where is it being hosted? Now, the one I've shown you in the presentation is in Amazon AWS EC2 instances. It is intended to be on Software AG Data Center in what's called the Enterprise Pool. This is a fully dedicated high availability cluster data center with full redundancy and failover capabilities. At least that's what they assure me of. The cloud machines will be a subnet instance of this production network. There'll be a separate instance per customer. So complete separation between customer instances of Natural Engineer Cloud, and it's all backed up apparently using a hypervisor layer, whatever that means. How secure is it? Well, as I showed you using the Amazon one, it's completely locked down to your IP range. It's also locked down to the users defined by the administrator on that instance. And it's also, apparently, there's an enhanced secure gateway within the Software AG data center. Who installs and maintains the software? Each customer instance will have the necessary software installed by Software AG engineers. Software will be updated as part of the new cloud agreement to the latest releases. So every time we have a new release of Natural Engineer, or there might be an update to Natural, or even to the actual operating system, we will have to update that for you, pre-agreed times, so that obviously we don't just take the machine when you're right in the middle of doing a big project. How do I upload my data? Okay, we can use remote desktop services using the full desktop and map to a local drive. Thereby you just copy and paste between the drives. Or you can use secure FTP, and Software AG engineers will issue the operations to load the data into the appropriate place. Who can do what in Natural Engineer? Okay, by default all users have all access to everything. So they can do an extract and load, impact analysis, etc. within Natural Engineer itself. If required, natural security could be applied to restrict access to libraries. So some people are a bit finicky if they're looking at each other's libraries. If you get really paranoid about it, you could have a separate instance per group within a company if you wanted to, a separate Natural Engineer Cloud. There's also a concept of user profiles within Engineer whereby you can determine which users can do what type of operation in Natural Engineer. So if you want someone not to have access to do extract and load, i.e. alter the content of the repository, you can stop them doing that, and the permissions are determined within me. What if I'd like to use something like Microsoft Visio? By default, we cannot put those products on the Natural Cloud instance because of licensing. But as I mentioned earlier, you've got bring your own licenses. So in theory, it's possible, assuming you can get the appropriate licenses to cover desktop services and the end machines, usage of third-party products could be added to your new cloud instance. The cloud offerings, mentioned earlier, is based on the number of named users. Currently the bands are small, up to 10, medium, up to 25, and large, anything above 25. It says they contact the local sales representative for more information. And that's it, I think. Back to Q&A. So anything else you want to add, Patrick? Okay,
no, I think that's great. I think Q&A session is good now.
Okay. Okay, so any questions? Any questions, please?
Thank you. We'll now begin the question and answer session. If you have a question, please press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. If you wish to be removed from the queue, please press the pound sign or the hash key. There'll be a delay before the first question is announced. If you're using a speakerphone, you may need to pick up the handset first before pressing the numbers. Once again, if you have an audio question, please press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone, or you could also use the Q&A tab on the webinar. We have no audio questions at this time.
Well, we must have explained everything perfectly.
Adabas.
Anyone, any questions out there?
As a reminder, if you have a question or a comment, please press star, then 1.
Okay, well, if there's no questions, we will be starting to promote this by our normal channels. If you would like to get some more information, please feel free to email me at patrick.gould@softwareag.com. I'm sure you've got the email there. And then I can work with Brian and Karl Heinz to make sure your questions get answered. But this is the first step to putting the Adabas Natural software on the cloud when it makes sense. So we'll be gauging this instance to see if any other options make sense, or if you as the customer have any ideas, please send them our way and we can at least address them to see if it makes business sense to offer other versions of cloud options for the balance of the Adabas Natural program software.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. And you may now disconnect.